Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
You gotta keep moving, let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears.
Because you'll have bad times, but that'll always wake you up to the good stuff you weren't paying attention to.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
From the Cancer Sucks Studios, you just tuned in to Life Lessons and Cancer Hope with Coach Steve. Listen, cancer ain't got nothing on me. Introducing an outstanding podcast where we discuss relatable life lessons, ambition, motivation, and perseverance. Welcome back to another episode.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. We have an exciting show today, although I say that every show, but we really do. Today we have a cancer survivor, 10 years old. You're going to hear this amazing story. We have the dad and the son on right now. I feel like no introduction is big enough for him right now. Almost feel like we should have like the Transformers, like Optimus Prime, come in and say, "More than meets the eye."
Ready, Prime? Let's roll.
You know, something like that. I mean, we should have like something big to introduce you guys. But here we go. And look at this. He's even matching me. We got both our 8-man strong here, colors, things like that. So welcome to this episode. Here we go. We're going to get started. We got Roman and Roman. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and sharing us your story.
Oh, thank you, Steve, for inviting us. We really want to get his story out there and, let people know it can be done. Like, don't give up. There's hope. There's, if you put up a good fight, it can be done, Thank you for inviting us. He's excited to say his part and everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. All right. So let's get started. So we're going to go into before the cancer diagnoses. I guess you're going to tell us a story about probably what was going on in your life 6 months to a year before that 2-year-old appointment, before you found out the diagnoses. Tell me a little bit about your life and what was going on.
I mean, pretty much we're just your average family. The minute he was born, Steve, we noticed a little belly, and his doctor would always tell us, babies have gas, babies are constipated. We're like, okay. And it's every time he would get sick, and I would just always ask. We were new parents, especially me. Like, I would always ask, like, what's this? Why is this? And doctors, don't worry. I'm like, oh, okay. Me believing the doctor, just okay.
Sure.
Okay. And then, as he got bigger, his stomach got bigger, and we're just like, I was like, wow, Of course, he's always been a big eater since the day he was born. Like, normal babies eat 2 ounces of milk. He was already eating 4. So I was like, okay, maybe he's eating a lot, But, as he got bigger, and it's just like, no, that's not right, And like I said, every time we got to a doctor visit, oh, don't worry about it. He's just bloated, gassy. They just gave us something. We're like, right? Okay, yeah, it was just something. And us, like I said, us being new parents, we're like, okay, we believed it. We're just okay. And September 2nd of 2012, he just turned 2 years old. We had an awesome birthday party for him. He was living it up and whatnot. And then me and my wife, on September 22nd, we just got married, a few weeks after his birthday. We were on top of the world and everything. And, we took the week off because, we were going to do something small for our honeymoon, just go to the local coast down there, and whatnot. But my wife was like, hey, we need to take him for his 2-year-old shots. So I'm like, well, take him, let's go. So we called his doctor. Doctor was booked up. And my wife's like, well, they got this new doctor there. How? And I said, well, we're just going for shots. Just grab any doctor. It's just a shot. Mind you, Steve, this doctor's never seen him, never examined him or nothing. We get there. They tell us, all right, put him in his diaper, and the doctor will be here. And the minute, Steve, the doctor walked in, the first thing out of her mouth was, I don't like the way his belly looks. I was like,
wow, right off the bat, just like that.
Right off the bat. She's never seen him before, nothing, Steve. And, I kind of cussed, and I said, ma'am, excuse my language, but I've been asking since day one. And she's like, well, let's do a sonogram. Well, he had a big breakfast, so they couldn't do it that day. So they told my wife, hey, bring him in the next day. We need to do a sonogram.
I'm going to pause you right there. So before the sonogram, like when you went home and you knew this was going to happen, like you must have been, you and your wife, you must have been frustrated, like, because obviously you've been speaking of this for 2 years and, they've been ignoring you, right?
Actually, Steve, we didn't, we really didn't think about it. We had so much. Like I said, we just got married.
Right. And just thought he was like a big eater too, right?
Yeah.
Just thought, it was like okay, I said, normal. He's
always been a big eater. So we, my wife was going through all the gifts we just received and everything. So we kind of didn't really think about it until the next day where I had, I was working 2 jobs and the second job kind of called me in. So I told my wife, hey, I'm only going to go in for 4 hours. Take them. She's like, okay. Well, in the middle of my shift, my wife calls me and she's like, hey, it don't look good. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, they don't want to tell me. And I'm dealing with customers and everything. I was like, you lost me. What are you talking about? She goes, I'm here at the doctor visit. I was like, oh. So I was like, you need to tell them to tell you. She goes, no, they called in more doctors. They're looking at the screen. They don't want to tell me nothing. I'm like, what?
Wow.
So I was like, okay. I said, well, I'm heading home. I'll see you in a bit. Well, don't know why, Steve. She took him to daycare. She was confused and everything. And I was like, where's he? When finally got home, I was like, where's he at? She goes, I took him to daycare. I was like, why? Like, why did you do that? She goes, I don't know. I'm going to go get him. So when she took off to go get him from daycare, I get a phone call. And I normally don't answer phone numbers I don't recognize, but something told me answer this call. So I answered it, and it was the voice on the other line was like, is this the parents of Roman Paez? I'm like, yes, sir, this is his father. And he's like, well, okay, this is Dr. Shadowski from, Children's Santa Rosa. You need to bring your son in immediately. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, y'all haven't told us nothing. Well, we'll tell you when you get here. I was like, I'm not going nowhere until you tell me what's going on. And this was a Friday. And they said, your son possibly might have cancer. We need to run more tests ASAP. So as soon as my wife got home, we just took off. We went immediately to the hospital. We get there. They already were waiting for us. They already had a room ready for us. Wow. And we were just like, what is going on? Still, nobody told us anything, Steve. Nobody was telling us anything. It was just like, I called my mom. I was like, I'm freaking out here, Mom. Like,
yeah, the world's
what do I
like
do?
Flipped upside down, right?
I called my brother. I called everybody. I was like, what do I do? And everybody's like, we don't know. Like, so it was just, my wife was crying.
Sure.
He was freaking out. He was still a baby. He didn't know what was going on. He's like, what am I doing here? They come, they put an IV on him. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, sorry, son. Like,
yeah.
And then they ran tests all night. Me and my wife, we did not sleep for nothing. Doctors were in and out, nurses drawing blood. They drew so much blood out of him that night. It was ridiculous. The next morning, about 15 doctors walked in the room, Steve, literally. Like, wow. And it was a very small room they gave us. And I told them, this don't look good. You got so many of y'all guys coming in here. This don't look good.
Yeah.
First thing the doctor told us, plan for a funeral. He has stage 5 cancer. He's not going to make it. We're like, what? Like, no, we just got married. This kid was dancing on the dance floor all night. Like, he was literally at our wedding dancing all night. Yeah. We're like, no. And the doctor's like, plan for a funeral. He's not going to make it. There's nothing we could do. We're like, no, there's something you got to do. And they're like, there's nothing we could do. I was like, oh, man. And, we sent out messages to people. People were wondering what's going on. A lot of people thought it was a joke, because they were like, I was just dancing, friends of ours were like, yeah, like we were just dancing with him all night. I'm like, it's not a lie. It's not a joke. They did a biopsy. They did whatnot. His kidney was the size of an NFL football, Steve. That's how big it was.
Wow, unbelievable.
And
tell the audience what type of cancer that this was.
it's called Wilms cancer. From what we were told, it affects a child from the time they were born to the age of 5.
Oh, okay.
And it supposedly only affects one kidney. Well, his went so far that it affected both kidneys and it spread to his lungs.
Unbelievable.
So one kidney was the size of an NFL football. He had a couple of spots of cancer on the other kidney, and then it went all the way up to his lungs, like badly. So we were like, oh wow, like what? Like, so it was rare as could be, like what they told us. You know, he was the talk of the hospital, talk of other doctors and whatnot, researchers, and it was just like, what's going on? Like, this can't be happening. And this is all in 2 days. Like, we were like, no, this can't be done. Like, no. Sunday, you know, more tests. They were doing this, doing that. They had told us, well, we're gonna do this. And we're like, oh, okay, like, you know, how can this happen? And I've even questioned, like, we've been asking for 2 years. You know, and no one gave us an answer. You know, it literally took a doctor that's never seen him to say that don't look right.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like, wow, like, how can this happen to us? You know, my wife was like freaking out, you know, my mom, everybody was in the room. And then that Sunday, the doctor was like, hey, I'm going to make an executive decision here. I'm going to put you on a bigger room. We're like, okay, cool. Cause I mean, half my family was there in that hospital room. So it was cramped.
Sure.
They didn't want to leave, you know?
Yeah.
That Monday, my wife, he was asleep and me and my wife were talking. My wife's like, hey, I know this ain't the perfect time, but you need to go to work because we're going to have bills to pay and whatnot. And I basically told my wife, like, hey, I'll sign divorce papers before I leave this hospital.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm not
sure.
leaving. I'm not going to leave nowhere. Yeah. And we kind of got into a little argument. She goes, but we got bills. I was like, I know we got bills. I don't care. Like, I'm not leaving. Thankfully, my boss at the time had asked a coworker of mine, was like, hey, where's Roman at? And my buddy had said, hey, you haven't heard? Like, you know, his son has cancer, man. He ain't coming in for a while. So, you know, thankfully my boss had reached out to me. He was crying. He goes, hey, I'm a father just like you. Don't come to work. I'm just going to pay you. Nice. I'm just going to pay you no matter what, man. I was like, okay, cool.
Wow. Nice.
And at the same time, Steve, another buddy of mine that Saturday had created a Facebook page for him. It was called Baby Roman for Life. And it was supposed to be for friends, family, whatnot. Well, that page literally was created that Saturday. By that Monday, it reached over like 5,000 people.
Wow.
I had
so cool.
Strangers. I had people I've never seen in years, you know, from high school, like, hey, we just heard, like, we're sorry, reaching out. And it was just like nonstop. Just nonstop. It's just a flow of strangers and people just helping out. Like, hey, is everything good? Is there anything we could do? I'm like, no, we're good right now. We're good. And literally, Steve, we lived in that hospital for about almost a year. Like, we literally turned that room into an apartment.
When did you guys when did the switch happen to getting the bad news, telling you guys that prepare for a funeral, to all of a sudden your wife and you are like, you know what, we're gonna fight this, we're gonna battle out this cancer?
It really didn't. The switch really didn't kick in until after a while, until when they told us the amount of chemo and radiation that he was gonna take.
Oh, okay. So they were gonna be aggressive.
Right, yeah, they basically told us like a couple of weeks later. We figured, oh, it was just be like, but no, when the doctor came in and said, no, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it, and just be prepared because we're gonna attack it aggressive. And awesome. That's when it dawned on us, like, okay, like we gotta be strong. We don't want him feeding off of us, the negative energy and whatnot. So, like, it sucks for me, Steve, because I kind of had to turn into a drill sergeant on a 2-year-old, my own son. Like, come on, son, like, we're gonna do this. And he's like, do what, Dad? Like, he's a baby, It's like, and it was just like, no, son, we're gonna do this. And I was mad at myself for doing it, but at the same time, I think I helped him.
Well, yeah, I'm sure he's got that drive now. Like it stuck with him, right?
Yeah.
So
But it was,
yeah,
even my wife was like, "Hey, calm down." I'm like, "No, we gotta stay strong. We gotta do this." And
yeah.
even my wife sometimes will be like, "Okay, And my wife's a girly girl, Steve. So for her sometimes like, "No, son, let's go. Like we're gonna do this." So it pushed her because it was her baby. So
Sure.
it was hard, Steve. It was very hard sometimes to stay positive. And even when they did the first surgery to put the port in him, that took a toll on us because there were some complications and he couldn't eat for a week. So they put a tube down him to throw protein down him because he couldn't eat. And they had basically told us, no, he can't eat until he passes, he does the number 2. So I was like, well, it's been about a week. Like his stomach is empty. And I think after day 7, he finally passed. I've never been so happy in my life, Steve, that he pooped. You know what I mean? I was just like, yes, like, all right, son. And they brought him sausage and he was just in heaven, Steve, just
nice.
devouring everything he could in front of him. Like he was a big eater. So he was just like, give me everything. He ate so much to the point where he vomited. Like he was just like, I'm hungry. Like I don't care. But it was just, and then we had to be more aggressive, Steve. Then once they told us, okay, y'all could go home, the chemo's gonna start, but at the same time we're gonna be doing radiation.
Wow.
So we're like,
yeah,
what? Like what? So it was hard, Steve. Like literally to watch my son 1 week, because the way they did his chemo was his count was like 2, 3, 2, 3. It was crazy the way they did it. But and then they said, well, okay, we're gonna do radiation at the same time. We're like, what? Like, can you do that? And they're like, well, we have to. Like, we don't have a choice. We're like, and there was days, Steve, where we would see him zapped. We're like, wow, son, like, oh my God. And me and my wife sometimes would be in bed late at night, like, are we doing the right thing? Is this what we're doing to our son? Are we doing this? Is it okay? And it was just horrible, Steve. Horrible.
Jeez,
That first year.
Yeah.
And then his blood counts, they would tell us, we'll go to doctor visits and be like, oh, his blood count was okay, this and that, but y'all still can't do nothing. Y'all can't do this. Y'all can't do that. And we're like, so we lived in our home like prisoners. No one was allowed to come over because we were afraid his blood counts were going to be too low.
Sure.
And, someone brings something home to our house and he gets sick.
Yeah.
And it was hard, Steve, just, stuck here at home.
I'm going to just pause you right there because there's some people that listen to this podcast that don't have cancer. So when when patients are getting chemotherapy and or radiations, sometimes it can affect your white blood cells. It can affect your neutrophils.
Yeah.
And when they go down like that, you're definitely susceptible to any kind of viruses, colds, anything. And you just have to be careful. I mean, it's just, because you can't fight it. Your white, when your neutrophils and your white blood cells are down so low, it's hard. It makes it that much harder if you catch something to fight that. So just to let that know. But go ahead.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Steve, one day they had told him, oh, his blood counts are good, blah, blah, so me and we're like, all right, well, let's get out. And I think my niece was having a birthday party. So we went. They were having it at this pizza place, and we're like, okay, his blood counts are good and whatnot. Well, we went, Steve, and he caught something.
Wow.
So the next day we were rushed to the ER.
No.
He was just like miserable because he caught a virus, and we felt horrible. But, we weren't thinking of that because for a brief moment, he was being a kid running around with his cousins.
You gotta live a little bit.
So it was like we felt horrible, Steve. Like we did this to him, and my wife was just crying. Like we did this, and we shouldn't have took him. I was like, he's a kid.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
So
I'm glad everything turned out, though. I mean,
he pulled through. Thank God. A week in the hospital, he pulled through. He fought it and fought it.
Yeah.
But Yeah, Steve, and it was just like ongoing, just doctor visits and blood work and this and that. And there was times where he was just like, "Dad, I don't want to go." I'm like, "Son, you got to. Like, I'm sorry."
I know. It's tough.
You know.
Certain days, yeah.
And there was this one incident where he took. They called it Big Red. It was a chemo that they called it Big Red, and he did the last day of radiation. And every time he did chemo, Steve, he was full of energy, just running around no matter what,
Wow.
with the IV in his hand. The doctors were like, "Wow, like this kid's running around. That Big Red should be knocking him out. We seen it knock out some grown men, right?" So one day I came home from work and my wife's like, "Hey, he's really zapped." I was like, "Oh, wow." So he tells me, "Hey, Dad, I'm sleepy." I'm like, "Well, go to sleep, son."
Yeah.
He literally took a 7-hour nap, Steve. That was the worst 7 hours for me. Well, at that time, I had told my wife, because I went back to work, and I told my wife, "You know what? You're stuck here at home. Go run some errands. Go shopping. Go do something. Go do your nails. Get out of here. I know you've been stuck at here at home." Those were the worst 7 hours for me, Steve, watching him sleep. I didn't know if he was going to wake back up. He didn't really move. I was just like, "Oh man, please just wake up. Please, please." I let him sleep.
Right.
I didn't bother him. I kept the house quiet. And then when he finally wakes up, he's like, "Hey, Dad, you want to play Monster Trucks?" I was like,
wow.
"You woke up, son."
Yeah.
Like, yes, let's play whatever you want to play. I don't care what we got to do. Let's go. And that was like the lowest point of my life right there. I felt so helpless for about 7 hours.
Oh, that must have been hard. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, it was hard, Steve. I seen him do the chemo, the radiation, but that day was just like, please wake up. Just wake up.
Yeah, you don't know. Like you don't know that it's gonna be 7 hours, and you're looking at your watch, and it's
yeah,
like,
and I was just like, okay, I know he's zapped. Okay, he wakes up. He's like, "Dad, let's go play Monster Trucks." Like, let's go. Let's do whatever you want to do, son. I don't care. I'll call it to work tomorrow. I don't care. Let's go. And it's just been, nonstop. And then fast forward, Steve. Now we got in kind of like a remission stage.
When did that officially? When was that official that he was in remission?
Kind of towards the end of 2013, the beginning of 2014, kind of. Okay. But we were still doing kind of a lot of our doctor visits. They really didn't want to give us the thumbs up, like, all right, he's cancer free, like, not yet. Or like, okay. He still did a couple of things, and then I ran into me and him. We went walking to a local flea market, and they were recruiting for football, flag football. And one of the coaches came up to me and goes, "Hey, you want to put your kid in football?" And I was like, "Well," and I turned around, "You want to play flag football, son?" He's like, "No, Dad." I was like, "Well, let's try it, son."
Yeah. And how old was he at the time?
Oh, he was barely 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, "If you like it, son, you like it. If you don't, finish the season. We don't have to do it no more." So, I take him to the first practice, Steve, and I'm just watching him. He's running around, and I was like, "Please like it. Please like it." Just, he comes back after practice. He goes, "Dad, I love it. Dad, I love it, Dad." Like,
that's awesome.
Stick with him. Like, yeah. And he's been playing sports ever since. But going to hockey, Steve, the way he fell in love with hockey was the same time he was going through all the chemo and radiation, the hospital was sending us to hockey games here in San Antonio. So one particular game, he sees this little peewee player, and he's like, "Dad, I want to play hockey." I was like, "What, son?" I said, "I don't know nothing about hockey, son. I don't know how to coach you. I could play football, I could play baseball, I could coach you on basketball, but hockey is not my sport, son. I want to play hockey, Dad." I was like, "Okay." So
he was playing flag football for how long before he loved hockey as well?
Right when the same time.
So right around the same time period. Oh, okay.
Right around the same time, because we were going to hockey games. They would send us, and then when they told us, "Okay, sorry, we can't send you no more hockey games no more for free," so me and my wife made the decision of, let's buy season tickets. Because he loves it. He fell in love with the sport. Let's take him. So we bought season tickets. We would go to games, and he was like, "Dad, I want to play hockey. I want to play hockey." I'm like, "Son, like, you don't know how to skate." Like, so I did my research, and he had to do classes, learn to skate. whatnot, and all these other stuff. So I was like, okay, son, we'll do this when you get a little bit bigger. And then he did a couple of seasons of football, and then he's like, Dad, I kept my end of the deal. It's time for hockey.
Sure.
I'm like, got you,
Sure.
son. Okay. So we went, signed him up, and they said, you got to learn to skate. Sorry. So
sure.
we signed him up for classes, Steve. He looked like a baby giraffe on the ice.
Oh, no.
You know?
Well, you got to start somewhere, you know?
But he stuck with it, Steve. He stuck with it. He stuck with it. He advanced in classes. You know, he had some pretty awesome coaches. At the same time, he was doing football. And, you know, luckily, the coaches that he had in football became like my brothers. These guys were awesome. They had the same mentality to keep his spirits high and his drive. They just, you know, because he would run laps and he'd be like just huffing and puffing. He didn't like to run. We didn't at the time. I didn't know his lungs were scarred, you know. So he was always running last, you know, last one of the pack.
Yeah, tell the audience about that, about his, you know, even when in remission, how the doctors were saying about his lung, how it would affect his lungs, and things like that.
Because the amount of radiation that he took within a 1 month period, it scarred his lungs. You know, even if he was to take an inhaler like the asthma patients do, it's not going to really do anything. So basically, they told us he can't be around smoke. He can never smoke. You know, it's going to be hard for him to breathe.
So his lung affected his lung capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was. I had tend to notice like, wow, like, okay, like, come on, son. And he was huffing and puffing. I'm like, but he wouldn't give up. See, like he'd complete it. But he would cry, he would, you know, moan, like, I don't want to run. And he just hated that part of the sport. Yeah. He hated the running part.
I do too. I hate cardio.
So the doctors had told us, well, it's because of this. We're like, oh, wow. So I had told him, son, don't use it as an excuse. Like, let's go. Like, you know, come on, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
So he would, you know, cry a little bit, but he'll tough it out, and he'd be like, okay, dad. And then as he progressed in sports, hockey came along and whatnot, and then he finally, Steve, he graduated from all his classes. He did everything he had to do. He made it to a hockey team. He was like done with training. You know, he was kind of discouraged at the time because he was just like, Dad, all I'm doing is practicing. When am I going to make it to a team? I was like, that's not my call, son. It's the coaches. Like, They don't want you to advance until you get to a certain level. But he finally got to that level, Steve. So we did a season of hockey, and then the whole COVID hit. So he was like, so he was one game away from finishing a season.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, hey, he did it. He made it.
You know?
So coming after this fall season of football, he's going to go back to hockey.
Nice.
But even at that, the whole weightlifting, he had just turned 8 years old.
8 years
and
old.
A buddy of mine
awesome. So young. I mean, that's amazing.
Well, a buddy of mine had told me, hey, bring your son. Like, let's see if he likes it.
Yeah.
But prior to all that, Steve, like his doctors have been hounding us like, hey, like, okay, he loves physical sports. We think he shouldn't be doing that. We're like, what do you mean? He's like, well, all this going on, we don't want someone to hit him real hard and knock his kidney loose. The one kidney he has left. I'm like, well, okay.
Oh, so tell us real quick here. When did he ended up having surgery. They ended up taking one kidney out.
Yes. Technically,
that was when he was young, right? Probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, they removed the cancer and then piece of the other kidney. Technically, the one kidney he has left finally grew to his body. You know, as he's growing, it's growing with him. So that's a good plus right now.
Yeah.
So as he's progressing in sports, you know, the doctor's like, hey, like, he can't be doing sports. Like, I was like, what do you mean? Like, he loves this stuff. Like, I can't pull him out.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as he gets older, the hits are going to come harder. I was like, well, you told me to buy a brace. I bought the brace. You know, that thing ain't cheap. And he's like, well, hockey, you might have to get him out. because of this, because of that. You know, he might take a puck to the kidney. And I'm just like, well, and I see some of these kids, Steve, like that puck's flying. So I was like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
okay. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and my buddy was like, bring him to weightlifting. Let's see if he likes that. So I'm like, okay, let's try it out. So we gave it a shot. Steve, you know, he liked it. He was like, oh, I really didn't get too much feedback from him. So, and then with everything going on, I was like, it was wrong timing for everything. And then he did a football season. And then he tells me, hey, Dad, since football's over, can I go back to weightlifting? I'm like, it's up to you, son. I didn't think you didn't like it. You didn't tell me nothing. No, Dad, I liked it. Let's go back. I'm like, okay, so I called the coach, called my buddy up, and they're like, bring him. Just bring him. Yeah, man, we got room for him. We'll make room. And he's been gun-ho ever since then, Steve, since he went back to the weight room.
That's amazing.
Doesn't want to stop lifting. Doesn't want to quit, period. You know, if he's not going to the gym, he's frustrated. And I'm just like, well, he's like that. I want to go lift weights. So I'm like, son, it's like, you gotta wait. Tomorrow's gym. He's like, I want to live, Dad. I'm like, well, sorry, son.
Yeah.
You gotta wait.
Wow. Yeah, this sounds like he's, you know, you got Roman, you got something special inside you. You know, you were fighting the cancers, you know, when you were young, and that drive, and of course, Dad, you know, being the drill sergeant when he was younger, you know, that instilled that help instill that fire. But that must be like that inborn strong like fire in you, and like you're gonna push through, you know, no matter what.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And even through like his football season, see, we you know, me, my buddies would tell him like, no, you're not quitting. Like, come on, man. Like, you tough. Like, you got this. You beat cancer, man. This is nothing for you.
Right.
So he kept on with it. You know, he did everything he was supposed to. You know, and I was like, hey, look, son. Like, I know you want to do everything, but there's times and seasons for everything. Like, we're gonna do everything one thing at a time. We can't do everything. So we broke everything down. We got football season, we got hockey season. Well, of course, weightlifting is year round. So luckily, his coaches are willing to work with him, and you know, oh, well, we'll do this, we'll do that. Don't worry about it. We'll work around his schedule. So we're like, awesome, sweet, you know. I think it was one doctor visited Steve. I think it was last year, I believe. Or the year before. I don't remember exactly, but I remember his conversation. The doctor was like, look, professionally, I got to tell you this, but as a father, and as just a regular human being, we're rooting for you. We are cheering you on. We're telling other cancer patients about you, you know, but professionally, I got to tell you this. We got to break it down. I got to tell you, no, you can't play sports, but we're rooting for you, kid.
Wow.
Please, you know, we're
That's
telling
amazing.
other kids. And I think it was that day, Steve, that it clicked on him.
Sure.
Like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm not going to quit on nothing. I'm going to run my laps. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show everybody I could do this.
Yeah,
because
the
at this
doctor's
point,
rooting for you. That's great.
yeah,
that's great.
you know, pretty much, because he was already getting kind of tired. Like, they were telling him, no, he couldn't do this. No, he can't do that. No, well, maybe we'll talk about it next time. And I could see it in him. Like, he's like, Dad, I just want to play. I'm like, son, it's like, I'm batting for you, son. Like, trust me, I'm you know, I'm doing everything I got to do for you, son. But he's like, but Dad, I was like, look, son, you do your end, I'll do my end. And let's just go to war. You know, I'll battle the doctors. You just battle on the field. You just do what you got to do. And I'll be arguing with the doctors for you.
Yeah.
And we just went from there, Steve, and it's just, he's been gung-ho about everything here lately, you know, the football field, being on the platform, hockey, and whatnot. It's just endless with him, you know.
Yeah, it's just it's I see Roman. I see you on Instagram there doing everything. I mean, I see you on the track pulling that tension strap,
It's the
right?
Run Rocket. It's called the Run Rocket.
Run rocket. Oh yeah, that's amazing. And doing all your lifts there, Olympic lifting. So, what's your favorite lift, Roman?
Deadlifts.
You love deadlifts? That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. All right.
Yeah, if he could do deadlifts all time in the gym, he'll do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I see you doing some snatches and clean and jerks. So you do a lot of Olympic lifting, right? All right. All right. And squats? You doing squats? And how about bench? Are they doing bench with you too? No, just doing the
No
Olympic
bench.
lifting, the squats and the
Yeah.
deadlifts and stuff like that. Yeah,
That's
awesome.
going back on the weightlifting, Steve. He one day he told my wife, his mom was like, "I want to go to the Olympics," and
Wow.
my
Yeah.
wife said,
Yeah.
"Tell your dad, go tell your dad." So he told me, "Hey, Dad, I want to join Team USA and I want to go to the Olympics." I said, "Well, tell Coach Steve. Don't tell me. He's the man to get you there, not me." So I text the coach. It's like, "Hey, heads up, tomorrow we'll see you at the gym, but heads up, Roman wants to tell you something after practice." And he's like, "Okay." So after practice, the coach already knew. So the coach gave him a little sample, kind of put him through the ringer. And the coach asked him, "Are you tired?" He's like, "Yes, sir, I'm tired." He goes, "Okay." So Roman went up to him and told him, "Hey, coach, can you get me to the Olympics?" And the coach was like, "I'll get you there, but it's up to you."
Wow. Yeah.
And he's like, "I want it." So the coach basically told him, "Okay, you got to join track. You got to do shot put. You got to get your cardio up."
Yeah.
And for a kid, Steve, that hates to run, you don't hear him complaining once in track.
That's strong. Yeah.
He runs his laps. Even his track coach is awesome guy. That Coach Sean is an awesome gentleman. That guy will have him do something, and he'd be like, "He's done. Like, I'm just gonna have practice is over for him." And he'll tell Coach Sean, "I'm not done. No, I'm part of this team. I'm gonna run with everybody else."
Yeah.
And so, I'm amazed at him. Like, that's how much he loves weightlifting, Steve.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
And the reason we put him in weightlifting is just in case they tell us he can't do hockey no more, he has weightlifting to fall in. Because I have a funny feeling the doctors are going to pull him out of hockey eventually. Because these kids are hitting that puck hard, and there's no equipment to protect his lower back in hockey.
That one practice where that kid threw it?
Oh, yeah. We literally at one practice, a kid took a puck to the throat.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So you definitely don't want to take one of the kidney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad he fell in love with the sport of weightlifting because just in case the doctors tell us, "Hey, sorry, he cannot do hockey." So, we're prepared.
And it's all year round. I mean, that's all, weightlifting's awesome.
So he's in love with weightlifting. It's just now he's to the point where football season is going to start here soon. He's just like, "Hey, Dad, can you build me a home gym?" I was like, "Son, you know what it's going to do to me? Like, you know how hard that is right now to teach a home gym?" So I've been buying pieces here and there, wherever I can find the cheapest bumper plates for him. I'm going to buy a bar here pretty soon for him, but he's just gun-ho, Steve. Like, this kid, even sometimes I'm recording him, just like, wow.
Yeah, I see him on Instagram. You guys, I'm gonna put his Instagram up on this, on these YouTube and audio platforms because we're on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, just for those listening, and also follow us on YouTube, YouTube to get a glimpse of Roman. We'll put up some pics and videos throughout this video, but and of course when he was fighting through cancer. But that's just amazing. He's got that drive, it's strong.
Yeah, even now, Steve, we'll go to, we call them cancer scans, and they'll tell us, "Hey, you got an appointment." We'll go twice a year, and we still get pumped up. We'll "Let's go, son. Let's do this. Let's not, let's not give them anything to talk about. Let's go, and we'll go, and doctor's like, "All right, he's good. Everything seems his blood work, everything's good." We're like, "Yes, okay." And I've told him, "Hey, look, in sports, please be careful. Please keep your head on the swivel. Don't give these doctors the reasons to put you on. Please." So that's why he takes more pride in anything, in any football, hockey, weightlifting. He's very cautious. I know accidents or injuries will happen, but he's very cautious about what he does. You know, he takes very pride in what he does a lot.
Awesome. Yeah,
Can I say
Roman,
something?
tell us a little bit about how you enjoy. How often do you go practice weightlifting? How often do you go to the gym? A week. How many times a week?
3 times a week.
3 times a week. All right. Yeah, and I mean, obviously you love it, right?
Yep.
All right. And every time you go, I'm sure you love it even more, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's your second best move besides deadlifts?
Clean and jerk.
Clean and jerk. All right. Awesome. All right. And tell us, football. What is that? What's your favorite team? You watch NFL?
Yep.
That's awesome. Who's your favorite team? You got one?
Cowboys.
The Cowboys? Oh, I'm an Eagles fan.
We're rivals, Steve.
All right. Yeah. We won't get into that. That's for another episode. Oh man, but that is good. And you got any siblings or just Roman?
He's just our only one, Steve.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Through his ordeal, Steve, like, doctors, like I said, they'll tell us, like, we're rooting for him. Like, even when we're done with visits, like, we're rooting for him, man. Come on, like, prove us wrong. And he's made the doctors go back to the drawing board so many times. He's proved them wrong every time. Every time we go, they're just like, we got to go back to the drawing board. We thought we expected this, but no, y'all are proving us wrong. Like we do this, we're gonna do that, and no, he'll continue to prove him wrong. He'll continue to, and I tell him, don't give him an excuse. Just don't. Let's go, son. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yep.
So he's been gun ho, Steve, and he has not stopped. About a couple of weeks ago, he had his tonsils removed. He had some complications, and it was the longest month for him, Steve, not to go to the gym. Frustrated.
I'm sure.
He was just like, Dad, what do I do? And I was like, there's nothing you can do, son. I'm sorry. You got to sit and recover.
Yeah.
But Dad, I'm like, sorry. Even my wife's like, nope, you got to recover. So once he was fully ready, he went back and he was in heaven. The weight room was calling. I text the coach, and coach is like, bring him. Let's go. Let's do this and whatnot. But football season's coming up, so last season, because of weightlifting, he literally was just dominating on the line, Steve. Like, he was pancaking kids left and right.
Wow.
Just demolishing me. So I want to see what this coming football season brings for him. I'll be posting videos of it on Instagram.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be following that. And I'm sure with the cardio, it's going to get a little bit better,
Yeah.
So that's good. And it looks like you guys are a good team together, probably working some of that drive and positivity bouncing off each other, right, over the years?
Well, I made a deal with him, Steve, because I own my own, business, and I had told him, I said, look, you become number one in weightlifting and in football, and I'll become number one on what I'm doing. Let's just go.
Wow,
and
that's
we've been,
good.
feeding each other, and then my wife with her own little goals and everything, she's been feeding off of that as well. So we're all driving each other. Like, let's go. No negative energy in this house. Let's just go. Let's do this. And we've been feeding off each other, Steve, nonstop every day. With him and whatnot. It's just been tremendous.
That's so inspiring. You guys are such a strong family, sticking together like that, and like you said, feeding off each other, and that positivity and that motivation and that discipline, and man, that is amazing. So, all right, you guys got anything else to add here? Any questions? Or anything you want to talk about? No.
Anything? Sports? Anything? Yeah. On top of he's very athletic, Steve. He's a brainiac. This kid is a straight A student.
Oh, wow.
The golden rule in this house is, hey, you don't pass, you don't play.
Oh, that's so important.
So he keeps his end of the bargain. He brings home straight A's. He loves school. He hates to go to doctor visits because he'd rather be in school. And What kid wants to be in school? This kid right here.
Yeah,
He loves to be in
that's
school.
great.
He doesn't like to miss, you know. With the whole virtual, the COVID stuff, the whole virtual learning stuff that he had to do, he hated it because he loves to be in school with his buddies, and it just sucks for him. But
yeah, I'm sure
he's done good. He's kept his end of the deal, straight A's. It's pretty high B's, but he's a brainiac.
Wow, that's incredible. That's important, Roman. That's school's important, and I'm definitely a big fan. I'm gonna keep following you, and we're gonna stay in touch. And wow, yeah, I am a true fan. So you definitely inspire me to. I'm still fighting cancer, and you definitely inspire me to work out because I'm working out in the gym too, and do some lifts stuff. And I just gotta gain my strength back. And I think about you once in a while. I see you on Instagram, and I'm like, you know what? If he can do it, especially with his lung capacity and all that, I could do a little bit more each day, to get stronger and stronger.
Yeah, don't give up, Steve. Please don't.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. I think this was great. Great, inspiring story.
Thank you, Steven, for inviting us.
Yeah, and we might have you guys back on in the future just to see your journey and see where you're going and stuff. And we'll keep in touch. But all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Steve, so much.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
From the Cancer Suck Studios, that is a wrap. Check us out in future episodes of our podcast and be sure to subscribe. But before we go, just want to give a shout out to all the admirable and devoted caregivers out there. Until next time, stay strong. We got this.
Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.